Hello, welcome to ITV Calendar.
Yes, thank you for joining us this evening. Here are tonight's main stories.
She was a brave one, so I have to be too.
A devastated father from West Yorkshire vows to raise awareness of a rare condition that took his wife's life without warning. Also tonight.
They've come through the roof. There's not a single bit of copper left in the building.
The hunt for the thieves who ransacked a scout hut in Doncaster, taking everything of value, including the kitchen sink.
Because all kids come every week, to be safe and have fun, and it's all been took away. It's been ruined, all memories that have been took away.
Also tonight, back where it all began.
I need to be myself. I can't be no one else.
Remembering the Leeds pub that played host to some little-known bands before they became some of the biggest names on the planet. And
the winner today is...
And gigantic growers head to North Yorkshire for the battle of the super-sized vegetables. We start tonight with the father who had to desperately try to resuscitate his wife before having to tell his two young children that they would never see her again.
Dale Lockwood had finished work in Leeds back in October last year and returned to his wife Ruby. She had been resting after a shift as a police detective, but Ruby was lifeless when he found her. She had an undetected heart condition, sudden arrhythmic death syndrome, or SADS.
Well, Dale wants ECG tests to be available to everyone before they turn 18 and genetic tests for children of parents who have a heart condition. Helen Steele reports.
You knew she was there. She very much took up space and, made no apologies for it. Just so happy and smiley, and was just one of those people who is just born to be a mum.
Ruby Lockwood only spent 3 years being a mum. At just 31, her husband Dale found her dead at home. Then he had to tell his eldest child, Arthur.
I kind of was waiting for him to ask where mum is, so I thought I need to get in there first. But yeah, worst thing I've ever had to do in my life. He just sobbed. He was only 3 at the time, but he knew.
Ruby died from sudden arrhythmic death syndrome, an undiagnosed heart condition which kills 12 people under 35 in the UK every week. There's a 50% chance Ruby's children could have inherited her condition. Dale only found that out after contacting the British Heart Foundation.
Now, if I hadn't have done that, I wouldn't have known. Nothing would have talked to each other. It wouldn't have triggered anything at the GPs or on the NHS files. And, my children could be living with a ticking time bomb.
He's now campaigning for widespread ECG heart tests in schools, and he's fundraising for genetic testing once abnormalities are found.
If you know what the gene faults are, it's easier to diagnose people with these conditions, and also potentially affect their futures for this and the treatment options. So I can't stress that enough. Genetic testing is very important.
Dale has raised almost £19,000 through challenges, including the Great North Run and the London Marathon.
You have those sombre moments, I think, where if you've just had a lovely moment or you've done something or you've had a really good day, you think, oh, should I love this? But if I spent the rest of my life just existing, she'd kill me. Because she was a brave one, so I have to be too.
That was Dale Lockwood talking to our reporter Helen Steele.
Yes, and our thanks to Dale for talking to us about that. Now, 7 men who were part of a grooming gang in South Yorkshire in the early 2000s have been sentenced to a total of 106 years. A 9-week trial at Sheffield Crown Court heard how the men were jailed for the sexual abuse of girls aged 11 to 16 in locations around Rotherham, during which they were plied with drugs and alcohol. The National Crime Agency say the bravery of victims coming forward will help others.
An inquest has heard a delivery driver who died after being dragged along a road in Leeds as he tried to stop his van from being stolen suffered fatal head and chest injuries. Claudio Carol Condor was making a delivery in the Wortley area of the city on August the 20th when his van was taken. The inquest was adjourned to a later date. Mark Ross, who's 32, of Conference Road in Leeds, appeared in court last month accused of murdering Mr Condor. He's due to go on trial next year.
A dog thought to be an XL bully cross has been shot dead after injuring 3 people in Rotherham. Police say it attacked a woman and 2 men at a property in Breck Lane in Dinnington yesterday evening. The victims suffered cuts and bite wounds which needed hospital treatments.
Protests have been held in Leeds today as part of a worldwide demonstration against night flights. Dressed in sleepwear, campaigners gathered outside the Civic Hall to highlight the health issues said to be caused by early and late departures and arrivals amid claims that Leeds Bradford Airport has breached its summer quota. The airport told Calendar it's requested a public inquiry on the correct legal interpretation of the existing planning conditions governing the operation of night flights at LBA. Leeds City Council says it will continue to monitor the number of planes at night.
Well, next tonight to the devastated Beavers, Cubs and Scouts in Doncaster who've lost everything in a break-in at their hut.
Burglars forced entry to the building in Askern during the summer holidays and left it completely wrecked, causing tens of thousands of pounds of damage and taking anything of value they could get their hands on.
Now, police are hunting those behind the break-in as the community comes together to support the group. Ben Basin reports.
50 years of memories shattered in the space of a week. It took half a century for Askern 19 Scouts to transform this hut into a space they could be proud of. But when they came back to it after the summer holidays, it was unrecognisable.
We've tried really hard to renovate it, and you can see they've been in, the burglars broke in and they've been coming back over a week period, stripping copper out of the building and doing more and more damage.
Going undetected for at least a 7-day period, the thieves stripped everything of value from the hut, including heaters, pizza ovens and a £10,000 kitchen which was waiting to be installed.
The damage is the undoing of a 50-year Scout hut, and in particular the last 10 years of bit by bit building upon what we got, and it's been taken back to square one. It's just been horrendous.
It's particularly upsetting for the children.
It's a disgrace because it's one thing stealing from a shop, but it's another thing stealing from a place where kids go. It's like, who in the right mind would actually do that?
How did you feel when you first saw that damage?
I cried. I mean, I've been here my whole life, but even before I started, I was here with my brothers. So seeing something I've grown up with and been at my whole life, it really made me upset.
It's really shocking and upsetting because obviously we now can't come back because we were going to come back after holidays, do fun activities like go kayaking before it goes into winter, and we can't do that now because they've took it all away from us.
Well, it's hard to believe just a few weeks ago this place was a functioning Scout hut. Now it's just been completely wrecked. The thieves even got into the eaves of the roof to strip the copper wiring up there and ended up falling through the plasterboard.
Police are now appealing for information to help them catch who's behind this burglary. They've released this CCTV image of 3 people they'd like to speak to in connection with the incident. It's thought it'll take at least £30,000 to bring the Scout Hut back to its previous state. And the community's already stepped up to help. A fundraiser has raised almost £3,000. But the emotional impact of this break-in is hard to quantify. Generations of families have made memories here. Now sessions are on hold, and Scout leaders have been left to pick up the pieces. Ben Mason, ITV News, Doncaster.
Let's hope someone knows who's responsible for that. Now then, still to come before the end of the programme.
It's Doncaster Cup Day here at the St Ledger Festival. I'll have all the sights and sounds from a glorious day's racing, plus the rest of the day's sport.
I'm at the Harrogate Autumn Flower Show, where when it comes to giant veg, these lot know their onions.
And after one of the coldest mornings this early in September in decades, milder air is now on the way back. I'll let you know what that means for our weekend weather.
Thank Thank you, Nick. Organisers behind Bradford City of Culture 2025 say the programme of events will celebrate one of the most diverse communities in the UK. A jam-packed lineup was unveiled for the first time at an event last night. And here's just a flavour of what will be on offer next year.
Yes, lots in fact. The magician Dynamo, who now goes by the name Stephen Frayne, will kick off the year with a large-scale outdoor theatrical event in the city centre.
A drawing project which is being backed by Bradford-born artist David Hockney will see people across the UK invited to take part.
The Turner Prize will be hosted at the Cartwright Hall Art Gallery from September.
Writers from Ghana and the north of England will pay tribute to the world-renowned authors, the Bronte sisters.
And the National Science and Media Museum will reopen in January following a multi-million-pound transformation.
Our year is starting with Stephen Frayne, formerly known as Dynamo. He's working in collaboration with the brilliant Kirsty Housley to create a start of the year that will be utterly magical. And we're also welcoming the brilliant, globally recognised Turner Prize, which is, renowned for kind of bringing the most cutting-edge, newest developments in art.
And of course, we'll be following events very closely there in Bradford. And we're staying with culture for the next few minutes because here on Calendar, the region's history is being celebrated.
3, 2, 1.
This was Sheffield this morning, where a blue plaque was unveiled at the famous Crucible Theatre. But it was nothing to do with drama or snooker. It was to commemorate the site of the former Adelphi Hotel, where the original rules of football were first drawn up in 1858.
We have the oldest football club in the world recognised by FIFA. We have the oldest ground in the world, the oldest trophy. Lots of firsts, crossbars, corner kicks, free kicks wouldn't have happened without Sheffield FC. So it's been a long time coming.
Congratulations to them. Well, we're going from South to West Yorkshire now. And have you ever been to see a band before they got famous? Well, if you were a patron of one particular pub in Leeds, there was a good chance that you had.
Because in the space of 12 years, the Duchess of York on Vicar Lane brought the likes of Coldplay, Oasis and many more to, well, in just some cases, just a handful of people.
Today, though, there isn't much evidence of the legendary shows that came before, but that's all about to change, as Jonathan Brown has been finding out.
I need to be myself. I can't be no one else.
Before Oasis went supersonic, they went to the Duchess in Leeds. Forget their sell-out reunion tour. In 1993, a grand total of 12 people turned out to see them play here. Between 1988 and the year 2000, this unassuming pub on Vicar Lane hosted a who's who of superstars to be. Today, unless you look closely, the music's been consigned to the cloakroom.
24 years since it closed its doors, the beer pumps have been replaced with designer clothing. So if you weren't here during its glory days, you might not remember the tiny Radiohead or Green Day gigs, or even the time the worse for wear Kurt Cobain slept on a sofa upstairs after Nirvana's gig here in 1989.
I called it my second home.
Tony spent more than a decade documenting performances at the pub in his magazine. Often seeing bands' popularity explode months after their visits, Oasis's 1994 return a prime example.
The queue was down there, up Briggate, up the Heather Road, round to Briggate, almost back again. It was massive. It was one of the most welcoming and really hassle-free places you could go see a gig in.
Bones sinking like stones, all that we fall for.
Far from slipping into obscurity, Coldplay were among the acts whose star rose after visiting the Duchess.
Oh my God, I can't believe it. I've never been this far away from home.
Leeds band Runston Parva, later known as the Kaiser Chiefs, made an impression too. The man who brought them there was John Keenan, the pub's landlord and long-time promoter.
It's quite fascinating seeing a much younger and slimmer me.
Decades after its closure, he says the pub's impact is still felt by Leeds venues like the Broodnell Social Club, which continues to champion new music.
There are a lot more outlets, venues around Leeds now than there ever used to be. I think it was of its time. There were a lot of northern bands taking off.
Tomorrow, a blue plaque will be installed at what used to be the Duchess by Leeds Civic Trust. Around 200 people have already registered to attend.
You would never know that at one time it had been a thriving music venue. So I think that's why these the blue plaques are important. It's a small marker that takes you back to a time.
So while some might say the musical heritage of this clothes shop might have passed people by, the memories of gigs gone by for many will live forever. Jonathan Brown, ITV News, Leeds.
An absolutely fascinating history there, and you can read more about the remarkable history of the Duchess over on our website. Head to the usual address, itv.com/calendar.
Wow, I had no idea. Now, the weekend is almost upon us, of course, and that can only mean one thing. It's time for the sport.
Xero Accounting Software sponsors ITV Regional Sports Report.
And our Chris Dawkes is a lucky man, you know, because we've sent him out of the studio tonight. He's put his finest clobber on for us, and he's at the races. How are you doing, Chris? Have you had a nice day?
Ian, we've had a great day here. Yes, the weather really has played ball, and we must be having a bit of a Brit-pop theme on calendar tonight, because you can probably hear behind me, we've got a band on stage now. That's Onside Britpop, who I'm reliably informed are the most authentic Britpop tribute act in the country. There you have it. But as for the racing itself, it's the second day of the St Leger Festival here today. And if yesterday, Ladies' Day, was all about the big hats and the frocks, well, today has been all about the racing itself. The big race of the day was the Doncaster Cup. Now, that's the oldest race still running here at Doncaster, dating back to 1766. It was won in 2024 by the favourite Sweet William. As expected, huge crowds out here today, around 50,000 expected over the 4 days of the festival. And it's not only the sun that we've been blessed with here at Doncaster, the stars have come out too. You enjoyed it, the races?
Yeah. When the weather's like this, it makes it even better. Nothing better than getting with the lads, you know. It'd have been better if we'd have won last night.
I haven't been for a long time, but I have been in the past, and every time I've come, I just have the best time. And you know, there's racing, there's competition, there's friends, there's food.
I like to come here because it's a nice course. I like to go to York. That's very nice, but I'm not a gambler. I've never had a bet in my life.
Really?
No, I don't know how to put a bet on.
Well, certainly a glorious day here at Doncaster today, but not so much for the city's football club last night. Doncaster Rovers remain top of League Two, for now at least, but could have stretched their lead had they not lost 2-0 at Harrogate last night. Both goals in the first half, Harrogate up to 13th. Meanwhile, just over the borders in Hull, in Humberside, East Yorkshire, there's a big game in the Championship too as Hull City welcome Sheffield United. Now, the Tigers are still searching for their first win of the season. They lost their last game before the international break 2-0 at Leeds, whereas the Blades are unbeaten in their 4 league matches so far.
All we have to do, it's working day by day, and that's what we can improve, but not the results. But all we can do is to bring our mentality on the pitch, and try to work, and then the real results will come.
There's a lot of history between us, and it's always a tough place to go. Fortunately, recently we've had really good results, performances. We always fill out the end, and it's always a lively game, so we have to expect their best.
Meanwhile, just down the road at the Sheffield Arena, there's a huge night in store for fans of the Sheffield Steelers Ice Hockey Club. The Steelers pulled off arguably the biggest result in their 33-year history last weekend, beating Swedish side Vasco Lakers on their own ice, and they'll hope to maintain that positive momentum when they take on Sparta Prague in the Champions Hockey League tonight.
When
fans have been waiting for this moment to get back into the arena, you know, after last year's success. You know it'll be a special night, and with us having some success last weekend and not getting ran out of the building, I also think it's amplified things a little bit.
All the guys who were here last year know what it was like playing in front of a sold-out building that we had all the time, and the guys who are new this year they got a little bit of a taste at Ice Sheffield, seeing that sold out. But you know, once we have 7,000 more people here, it's going to be even cooler.
Well, that's it from me. That's all the sport. Big day tomorrow, St Ledger. Stakes here at Doncaster Racecourse.
Great. Thanks very much, Chris. Always good to see Dickie Bird too. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, we love seeing him. Now then, you may not realise, but there are only 103 more sleeps until the big day, Christmas, dare I say it. Plenty of people, though, have already been buying gifts.
Yes, it's obviously the busiest time of the year for our region's retailers and manufacturers, some of whom have been at the big Christmas press show this week, along with our reporter, Lauren Hall.
It seems to come round quicker every year. But it's not just the retail industry gearing up for the big day. Many of us are doing the same, starting our Christmas shopping much earlier than we normally do. They're well aware of it at Cap Toys, a company based in Tockwith near York.
Christmas is starting early. The high street is full of Christmas. We are seeing retailers taking in Christmas stock earlier, and especially sort of the lower price points are really starting to pick up, gearing ready for the Christmas season.
This event brings together online and high street brands from all over the UK. They're only just launching their Christmas products, and some are surprised at how well they're doing already.
Christmas is currently the #1 search term on the high street, and actually what we're seeing is customers already buying Christmas cards, they're buying advent calendars, and they're also starting to look at seasonal decorations. So that would suggest that customers are really preparing and getting ready for the season a lot sooner.
It may have taken some by surprise, but experts say it's easy to see why.
I think as soon as the weather starts to get a bit colder, people start to turn their attention towards Christmas, and it's kind of that next exciting part to look forward to. So we definitely are seeing people pre-planning so that they can be wiser with their spend and spread it across the months as well in the lead up to the big day.
It's something that's also being noticed by social media influencers.
A lot of my followers are like, they want to see this new toy, they want to see more of that new toy, and a lot of stuff that has launched, they're like, can you open that, can you show that?
For the retail industry, it's brought some much needed festive cheer, and many here will be hoping it keeps on building over the next 3 months. Lauren Hall, ITV News.
I had not started to think about Christmas.
Well, we have now. Finally to Ripon, where the blooms have been looking splendid at the annual Harrogate Autumn Flower Show.
Yes, and what a beautiful day for a stroll around Newby Hall, where 30,000 visitors are expected over the weekend. But it wasn't just the flowers attracting crowds today.
No, because it was also oversized onions and massive cabbages, some weighing up to an astonishing 25 kilograms, as Hannah Norbury found out.
From colossal cucumbers to beastly beetroots and massive marrows. When it comes to size, it really does matter at the Harrogate Autumn Flower Show.
I cannot believe it. I mean, how they can carry something like that, I don't know. It's amazing.
Just amazed at how big some of them are. Yeah, think about the cauliflowers for cauliflower cheese.
Jane's the grower.
I am the grower, but nothing remotely as big as that, definitely not. But you never know, next year we might be here with our large marrow, you never know.
You weren't expecting it to be that big, were you? And that's not even the winner. This one is, weighing in at a whopping 25.7 kilograms. But the most sought-after prize at the show is the heaviest onion. So who are the crowd rooting for?
And the winner today is Stephen Purvis on 7.6 kilograms, 16.75 pounds.
Over the moon, proud man. In fact, I would cry now.
If people wanted to, could they eat this?
No, I wouldn't advise it.
And there's even veg royalty amongst us. The world record holder for the largest onion, Gareth Griffin, is here alongside 9-time winner Peter Glazebrook. So how do they do it?
Well, dedication, I suppose, and perseverance. You've got to start with the right seeds. That's the most important, really. You've then got to prepare the ground and give them the right growing conditions.
You've got to sow the seed in October and give them artificial lights and nurture them.
And if you thought the onions were eye-watering, take a look at the flowers.
A stunning floral pavilion which is just full of colour. We've got the house itself, Newby House, full of flowers, all been designed by local colleges, just absolutely beautiful. And then of course we've got lovely garden shopping, we've got 4 live stages, so there is so much advice that they're able to give.
If you're expecting more giant veg, I'm afraid for now, that's shallot.
Oh, I like that. Have you been nurturing your carrots?
Yeah, you should see mine. You should really have a look at mine.
Are they big?
Quite big.
Good. Let's go to Nick.
Good visibility on the horizon. TUI sponsors ITV Yorkshire Weather.
Hello, it turned out to be a really lovely afternoon today after what we know was a cold start this morning, a widespread at least ground frost, misty in places too. And in fact, the UK's lowest temperature today was at Topcliffe in North Yorkshire, down to -2.7. You have to go back a few decades to find anything colder than that this early in September. It is all changed now though, because we've got the Arctic air moving out of the way, a southwesterly flow this weekend, so the milder colours moving in, temperatures returning close to average. And after a fine start to the weekend, this frontal system on Sunday brings the chance of rain. I say chance, it does look patchy in nature. It does look as if Sunday though will be at least the cloudier day of the two this weekend. We stay mainly clear overnight, though conditions for the Northern Lights not as favourable as they were last night, if you were wanting to see. And the milder air is starting to move in now, but that means temperatures won't be as low, still well down into single figures in the chilliest spots as we start off on Saturday morning. A lovely bright start. By the afternoon, don't expect as much sunshine as we've seen today. Some cloud will be building, the sun will be increasingly hazy, and you may notice more of a breeze tomorrow as well from the southwest, that milder direction, and temperatures up to 19 degrees. A quick canter through Sunday, still some hazy brightness early in the day. The rain moving into the Pennines could be persistent at times here, but to the east, really patchy in nature, so certainly not raining all day long, and temperatures again close to average. Next week, high pressure reasserts itself, mainly dry, and temperatures heading up again by day and by night. Have a good weekend. I'll see you again on Monday.
TUI sponsors ITV Yorkshire Weather.
Yeah, we will, yeah.
You know, rain and sunshine is good for the veggies.
It is, absolutely. Yeah, you should see my potatoes as well.
Oh, God,
Huge.
you'll have to bring them in.
Huge.
That's all for now. Have a wonderful weekend.
Yeah,
We'll see you
have a
next
good
week.
weekend. Good night.